afternoon, guys, and welcome to episode 90 of Costa Rica Real Estate and Investments. Today, we're actually talking to Justin Deboom. Justin's been down in Costa Rica for, over 15 years and is raising a family down here. He's a sales manager at Namu Travel, but has also bought and sold real estate, and most recently has had a fishing charter business down here. So we're going to be talking to him about his experiences with life, family, and also business down here, and see if we can get you guys a little bit of advice from someone that's been through the ringer down here. Remember, guys, we actually have quite a few of you reaching out to us. I really appreciate you guys. We're here to help in any way that we can. You can email us info@investingcostarica.com. That's info@investingcostarica.com. Justin's details will all be in the description here as well. And anyway, let's get straight into it. Good afternoon, Justin. How are you doing?
Doing good. Bexy, yourself?
Very good. I appreciate you jumping on the podcast for us. And I know this is going to be a good one because you've been down here a while, and you've also done quite a few things down here as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of bummed. We both got haircuts and it's a podcast, but let's do it.
lucky people on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Two good looking guys, if I may say myself, on a podcast, yeah. But nobody will know how good looking unless they jump on YouTube. So anyway. Well, I mean, you've been down here in Costa Rica a while now. How many years has it been?
Oh, man, I've been living here full time since I moved down Christmas Day of 2009.
Wow.
Tickets were half price on Christmas Day.
Yeah, true. Well, I mean, again, since COVID, I mean, it's been pretty crazy down here. But I mean, what has surprised you particularly in the past 6 months? And are there any trends that you're seeing?
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess it depends on if you're relating that to real estate or just general life in Costa Rica.
I think anything, either or.
Yeah, I mean, first thing is the tourism industry has rebounded. Like it's almost unfathomable. I believe it's partly due to people delaying their trips and rescheduling, and then also the demand to get out. So it's a double whammy. The Costa Rican people, they're pretty resilient. You know, during COVID and the lockdowns, I mean, we saw some crazy stuff. The government here didn't have the ability to fund people like the US and other more developed nations. But, life goes on. People are happy. People are working. So, I mean, it's almost like it didn't happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, mentioning that, I mean, I know that during COVID, you guys kicked off I suppose, a charitable cause called A Real Difference. Yeah. Maybe you could just tell kind of the listeners what it is, and also if they wanted to get in contact or make any donations, how that works.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's out of every good tragedy, something good comes out of it. And during COVID, the lockdowns, I mean, I'm a fisherman, as you know, and so that's kind of what my life is all about. And we have this great resource here. And during the lockdowns, there was some flooding in Jaco, and all of a sudden we had all this fish that we could donate. And there was people that were in real need. So Brandon and I just decided to donate it to some local organizations here. And then out of the blue, people started hearing about it and wanted to donate money to be able to fund the fuel to go out there. And then it's grown now to the point where we actually have enough cash donations where we're chartering boats, which is good. A year ago, when we were chartering boats, they needed the business, so it was a win-win. Yep. But also, we got the opportunity to send young kids out from these, communities where they're never going to get the opportunity to do that and learn about sport fishing, as well as learn about giving back, because the fish that they caught, they got to donate as well. So it's been awesome. It's realdifference.org, and we're still operating today.
And that's real, REEL, as in the fishing reel.
A real. Like fishing reel difference.org.
Awesome. Well, guys, if anyone's interested, take a look at realdifference.org. Anyway, let's jump into kind of more, I suppose, relocating and kind of living here and investing here, Justin, because I know that you've lived down here, you have a family down here, a wife, and also a young son as well. But I mean, if anyone's looking to relocate to Costa Rica, I mean, what advice would you give them? And also, what do you think their biggest shock might be?
Well, I can tell you what my biggest shock was. And the advice I'd give myself before I came down here is, one, accept this is not your home country. Yep. I'm from the US. This is not America. So you have to learn that things go at a different pace. The processes are fundamentally different when it comes time to buying real estate without an MLS or anything. And also, just as far as moving down here, whether you're buying or you're just doing long-term and want to get your feet wet, is accepted exactly as that. It's not the US. And so try to blend in and kind of be more like the locals. except things are going to be a bit slower, and also take some time and spend time in different areas, because you might think the beach is where you want to be at, but in the end, you want to be in the mountains, or you might want to be in Jaco, and in the end, you want to be in Tamarindo. So don't rush into it, but also don't try to fit the square peg in a round hole, making this the country that you're leaving.
I agree. I mean, I think a lot of people have that fear of missing out, the FOMO at the moment, and they think that like things are going to, run off into crazy numbers and they're not going to be able to afford to move here. But as I always say to Costa Rica, there is tons of land here. I mean, there's just tons of it.
I mean, it's amazing. I like ocean view. There's a mountain on every single street, and it all has ocean view. There are things that restrict it, like water, permitting and access, but absolutely. When I started business and graduated, I always remember looking at real estate in different places and always thinking, wow, that is super high price. I should buy it now because it's only, this is a good deal. Real estate always goes up. In the end, I think just fundamentally, it doesn't matter. So buy what works for you, especially if you're going to live in it. Don't think that you have to shop for a deal, because you might never get it. Find what you like and that's what my wife and I ended up doing.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm the same as well. I mean, I bought this house 17 years ago and I'm still in the same one. We've improved it over the years, but I mean,
you couldn't buy it for what you paid for it, not even remotely close.
No, not even close. I was looking, actually, one of my neighbors are buying their houses because they were trying to sell it and then rent it out. But yeah, I mean, you can't. I mean, it's just, Costa Rica is just different, 17 years ago than what it is today. So, but I mean, I'd say this, Costa Rica has been steady growth. We haven't seen those astronomical kind of, ups and also downs here. It's just steady every year. And that's why, I mean, personally, I like Costa Rica as kind of a wealth diversification play. And also, as I think going forwards, I think more people are going to be looking to get their money out of the US. And again, I mean, a lot of people are relocating here to Costa Rica.
Oh, yeah. Well, and the Costa Rica stability, it really comes down to it's a cash market.
Yep.
So you don't have these wild swings like you do in other places where financing is readily available. So a person with enough cash to invest and buy in a cash market, it's less likely that they're going to have a desperation sale. Yep. And so that's why you don't see these crazy spikes up and down, and there's some control to it. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, how would you describe what life is like here for a family? I mean, you have a young child, Mason. I mean, how old's Mason now?
Oh boy, 17 months.
Lucia's going to be listening to this one.
It's not a birthday yet. That's all I know.
I know. Well, you're still in months. You'll be moved to years after 2 years. So
yeah, exactly.
But I mean, describe what life is like bringing a family up here. What do you like about it?
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know what it's like doing it anywhere else. So the only experience I have is here. And so I don't know, maybe I'm more of a relaxed person when it comes time to that, even though it's my own child. I accept that Costa Rica has been around for a long time. There are tons of parents around here. So, the medical system is very good. The doctors are good. It's just, once again, it goes back to things are not like they are in the States. So word of mouth, you end up building friendships and having trust in people, and they make recommendations. And just like I said, just try not to fight the current to make this where it is that you left, and it gets pretty peaceful from there. I mean, it's nothing new. Babies are being born since God knows how long, and we just complicate it, I guess, maybe over time. But
well, it's amazing how many families are moving down here now. I mean, the schooling is much better, the private schooling. We have, there are schools like the Costa Rica International Academy career in Guanacaste that is basically an American high school. A lot of these schools are doing the International Baccalaureate IB programs now, so they can go to school anywhere in the world that they want to once, that they hit 18. But
I'm not even there yet, but that's like, I've already started thinking about it, and I don't really have a concern, because there's other people like yourself and coworkers and friends that they are raising their family here in Costa Rica with all the same benefits and access that they have in the US, but with what I believe is a better quality of life. At least that's my perspective here.
I agree. Well, I mean, I think I agree. I mean, healthcare, just the weather, the food that we have is so fresh here, and I mean, it's just different. And I feel that I'm blessed because I'm bringing the girls up here, but also is that we go back to Europe, we're off to North America next week, that they're able to see those cultures as well and kind of take the bits that they like from it and kind of form their own culture going forward. So
you said North America, you don't say America.
Yeah, I'm going to say North America.
I
I've been
don't know what your
conditioned by my
audience is.
wife.
Sorry.
I've been conditioned by my wife. I'm off to America.
Let's
She's
call
like,
that Europe.
yeah, exactly. So anyway, well, let's talk business a moment here. I mean, you work for Namu Travel. That's how we know each other. But I mean, explain your journey and how others may be able to kind of, follow you on a similar path. We spoke to Aaron Banachek as well, who I know that you work with as well. But I always, the listeners always like to hear kind of about your journey and also some of the businesses that you've run here as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, the journey to become part of NAMU is easier and better than when I started. I replied to a Craigslist ad, and when I showed up to the place, I literally I would not get out of the car because I felt like I was walking into one of these shady places where I'm never going to walk out. And then I saw another white guy by the name of Andy Goodling walk out of there. And I'm like, okay, there's hope. He made it out. And yeah, did my interview with you in flip-flops, and said that the whole reason I wanted the job is because I was bored.
Exactly. Hey, it's been a great journey, no?
Yeah, that's 10 plus years now.
Wow. And I mean, for anybody out there, I mean, we have a lot of people working from all over the world, here in Costa Rica, also the UK, the US. I mean, just give them an idea of kind of like if they're interested and what the job is, how they'd go about applying for it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, check out I believe the email address is careers@namutravel.com. But, whether it's one of our ads that you see on social media, but the reality is if you're moving down here, or even if you've lived down here and you've moved back, I mean, the job is unique, and I've owned my own business. I worked for other companies before, but I literally can work from my home and anywhere in the world. Also, it's not too often that you experience a client that's angry about planning a vacation. It's your clientele is usually very excited to talk to you. So that's kind of an easy part of it. And people are reaching out to you. We're not reaching out to them. They inquire. It's an active, lead that you're chasing because they showed interest. And also the money's good. I mean, the top TC is my world. I mean, foreign earned income, tax exemption. I mean, the pay that I made here, I would have to have a very big six-figure job in the States and not have the freedom and luxuries that I do here.
Yeah, not everyone can just rush out to their boat and go fishing, right?
No, exactly. Yeah. I mean, let's go fishing. So
yeah, exactly. So, well, I mean, Justin, you've run a couple of businesses here in Costa Rica, but I mean, I think your most recent one was the fishing charter business, right?
Yep.
I mean, how was it? What were your biggest challenges? And what advice would you give to anyone wanting to start a business here in Costa Rica?
Don't do it. Well, when I first came down here, somebody told me the key to becoming a millionaire in Costa Rica was start with 2. When you're down to 1, you're still there. But I mean, it goes back to my comments about just general coming down here is don't fight the system and accept that you're in a country that's not North America. So things are definitely done, as I would see it, as ass backwards. Don't know if I can say that on here, but they are definitely ass backwards and slow. It is literally when you need a permit, you have to take it to one person to sign it. And then that person you take it to another person, get it signed. And then you get little timbres or stamps put on there. So that process is time consuming. Also, Costa Rica, I don't know how I would describe it other than the employer is guilty. The employee is always right. And so you're guilty until proven innocent when it comes time to the employee-employer relationship. And whether that's good or bad, I don't know. I'm a free market capitalist. I'm an entrepreneur. That's the mindset I come from. But here in Costa Rica, the government is the biggest employer in the country. And also they kind of feel that the employee is the person that's always being taken advantage of. So if you get on the wrong side, it's kind of a pain. And kind of is an understatement.
I've had experience of that. I just signed up a new business to CAHA, the Social Security system here, and the inspector came round and grilled me, and then afterwards sent me an email with all this documentation she wanted for 4 days in March that I wasn't able to prove that a payment was made to myself. Like I'm paying CAHA from my business to myself, and she was busting my balls about that payment to myself.
You owe yourself a penalty and more money.
Yeah,
I mean, exactly. I had an employee that was in a store, and I stepped outside to eat lunch next door, and literally they send in inspectors, or not even inspectors. They try to set the employer up. Literally 2 guys walked into my store. She'd never touched the cash register or anything like that. I was eating lunch next door. They purchased a key ring And as soon as she touched that cash register, they started asking what her job was and everything, and literally convinced her that I was taking advantage of her and that I owed more money, and they tried finding me, and I shut the store down. I said, there, it's your last day. And they actually walked away going, that's good. We protected the worker. So that's my opinions of a business here.
Yeah. I mean, I think in general is just, just pay the full amount via Caha. Don't try and play around doing some in cash and some social. Just suck it up, pay it, because also then you have control of scheduling, hours, vacation, and you just know is that there is never, any comeback from it as well.
Yeah, with the boat business, I paid everybody by the law, always. Cesantilla, Caja, Aguinaldo. There's no point. If they quit or I fired them, I still paid the liquidation, just because whether it's the right thing to do or not, it's the path of least resistance. And then it's the way things are done here. So once again, don't fight what's norm here, trying to make it a place that it's not.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well, I mean, let's jump into real estate a little bit, as I know that we're both involved in that. But I mean, which areas of Costa Rica do you think are going to be developing over the next 5 to 10 years?
I mean, coastal obviously is just, everybody wants to see the beach in that area. I was just up in Arenal, which I personally love that area. I still own a home there, actually right at the entrance of the hotel we stayed at. The resources in the hotels there, but now I am definitely seeing a demand for vacation rentals, and there's not a big infrastructure there. So I think you're looking in areas like that. I am as well. And it pairs nicely because the vacation rental infrastructure is here along the coast. So the 2 destination trip, it works well. I don't travel a whole lot to other areas, but for me personally, I start looking at places in the mountains, like a retreat that I can get away from the coast. Farms, I think, are going to have an appeal because as the world gets more turmoil and access to water, it's only a matter of time before water is more expensive than gas. Maybe not so easy now, but just thinking about the ability to grow your own food and just have some diversification and basically live off the land versus being tied to a grocery store dependent on imports. So, Costa Rica is unique because it offers all of that. And I think that's at least I'm seeing a lot of people moving here for that quality of life where they're getting back to maybe not their roots, but back to, the ability to grow your own produce and, have more of a natural selection of food versus chemical and processed and things like that. So.
Yeah, no, I was with someone the other day and they'd mentioned, they were like, I eat food in the US and I feel bloated, and I come to Costa Rica and I just feel great when I eat food. Like, I don't feel bloated. I just feel that like I'm not hungry anymore. And I was like, well,
it's literally farm to table here.
That's it. So, and I mean, we have tons of different microclimates here in Costa Rica. It's a stable economy. And I've not seen inflation hit us as much here as I think I have done in the UK. I'm not too sure how it's in North America at the moment. I mean, it is touching us here, but because a lot of it's produced here anyway, I've not seen my mangoes go up ridiculous amounts in price yet. So.
No, exactly. But until you go and you want to pick something up that's imported, it definitely changes. But fruits and produce, I mean, here that's what you live off of, and it's great. It's not processed or chemical or anything. It's literally, you see the tree it came off of when you get your mangoes.
Yeah, we need an avocado orchard. That's the next business we need to go into.
Yeah, that's the one. Yep. I mean, which Costa Rica does have avocados, but they're not the famous Haas avocado that everybody wants. Yeah, they're true. They don't really have flavor. They're kind of like butter.
Well, let's do this. When we get our Offer Chow deal done, then we'll move to Arenal, because I think Arenal is the next one.
Yeah.
So awesome. Well, I mean, Justin, my last question for you that I love to ask to everybody on the podcast: if you inherited $500,000 and had to invest it into a business or real estate in Costa Rica, what would you invest it in?
Oh, wow.
Condominiums in the condominium complex where you live?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Like at my age, and what I'm looking for is I like the idea of mailbox money and a hedge against inflation. So I have actively, the lot we're buying down there, I've tried purchasing 2 properties in my condo complex where I can rent and get a 5 to 7% return, which is good down here. There's pipe dreams of 10 and more, but that doesn't really exist. And it's more so just a hedge against inflation, and also it's an asset that's not really going anywhere. That's what I'm doing actively now versus maybe down the road some land where I can do something, but right now trying to get those rental properties.
Yeah, I mean, I think rentals are a big thing here. I mean, there are certain areas where rentals are lacking, and I think that there is a huge opportunity. I was discussing this with someone this morning in the midterm rentals, people that are looking for 30, 60, 90 days, maybe a bit longer. They're not looking for long-term, 1 year, 3 years, because everyone's either on one extreme or the other, short-term or long-term, and nobody's really in the middle. So
well, like the seasonal, you can get great money for your rental during January, February, March, April, when the people are looking to escape the cold. And then you do more of a local market during the other months, but there's a lot of variety. I target more of the long term, just because I don't want to deal with the turnover, and there are bigger returns in other things, but it's just my model that works for me with the workload that I want to put into it.
Awesome. Well, Justin, really appreciate you taking the time to come on here on the podcast with us, and also just chat about your experiences here and also your advice for people. And again, anyone that wants to reach out to Justin, I'll put all of his contact details in the description, and appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Always a pleasure.
Awesome. Speak to you soon. Great podcast there with Justin Deboom, guys. As you can see, Justin is a wealth of knowledge down here. Him and I actually do quite a few real estate deals together and have worked together for many years. So a little odd to be interviewing him here, but I thought great to really get, his perspective on living down here with a family and also running a business down here. I mean, I think that he touched on, the social security system that we have down here, which does like to charge people. But that's where I say to people that, like, look, just do it by the book and life will be a lot easier, but it also gives you little bit more control over your employees as well. So, but remember, guys, if anyone has a project looking to invest down here in Costa Rica, wants us to look at something for them, we'll be getting quite a few emails for you. We're a sucker for helping people. I always say I've got 30 minutes for everyone. However, I think I may need to be changing that to 15 minutes. But you can get in contact with us, info@investingcostarica.com. That's info@investingcostarica.com. Until the next podcast, guys, speak to you soon.